Right, so we're back for another deep dive, and today we're going to be tackling something I find really fascinating.
Yeah.
I think you will too. Architecture. But not just like looking at cool buildings.
Yeah.
We're going deeper.
Oh, yeah, way deeper. Like how it all connects to us, you know?
Exactly.
To society, to like how we live and feel and stuff.
Exactly. So we've got this article, and the title is kind of a grabber. Architecture has drastically changed in the last 100 years, but are modern buildings ruining society?
Whoa, that's a strong statement right out of the gate.
I know, right? So we're going to unpack that, see what they're getting at, break it down.
See if they can back that up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is there really a connection between the buildings we see every day and, like, I don't know, the state of things?
You know, I've always thought about it. Like when I'm in a beautiful old building, I feel different than when I'm in like a plain boxy office building, you know?
I know exactly what you mean.
It's got to have some kind of effect.
So before we get too far, I just want to say this article does mention that whole Tartarian thing.
Ah, yes, the Tartarian theory.
Yeah, where some folks believe this, like advanced civilization built all these amazing structures we see today.
And then poof, vanished.
Right, and like those buildings are better than what we build now.
Right, like they had some lost knowledge.
Totally. And I know that's a whole rabbit hole we could go down, but I think for this deep dive...
Yeah, let's stick to the main argument here, which is modern buildings, good or bad for society?
Right, and the article's take is kind of nuanced.
Oh, definitely.
They're not saying modern buildings are like evil or anything.
Right.
But they do make this comparison. It's kind of out there. But it made me think.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
They compare these simple modern designs.
Like those big glass and steel boxes?
Yeah, exactly. To like video games.
Video games. How so?
Okay, so their idea is video games give you these fake rewards, right? You level up, you get points.
Instant gratification.
Yes. And they argue that modern architecture is kind of the same.
It's like junk food for our eyes.
Yeah. It's all surface, no depth, and they think that makes us less able to appreciate real beauty.
Ooh, like the beauty of an intricately carved cathedral or something.
Yeah, or even just like nature,
Okay, I see where they're going with this.
So they lay out these like criticisms of modern architecture, and the first one is just straight up laziness.
Laziness, like architects just phoning it in?
Well, not necessarily the architects themselves, but maybe the whole system, The article says, and I'm quoting here, "Nobody wants to spend the time or money to have nice things."
Ouch! That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah, but they do have a point. I mean, think about it. Everything's about being fast and cheap these days.
True. But doesn't modern architecture also have a lot to do with like new materials and technologies?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the article questions whether we're sacrificing quality and, craftsmanship for that efficiency.
Right. Like, yeah, concrete is amazing. You can build things super fast.
Right.
But it doesn't age as well as, say, brick or stone, right?
Totally. And the article brings up those amazing buildings from centuries ago, the ones that are still standing.
Yeah, those Gothic cathedrals.
Exactly. Are we even thinking about longevity anymore?
Good question. Are we building for the future or just for right now?
Right. And that kind of leads into their next criticism, which is deterioration. They're basically saying a lot of modern buildings just don't last.
Yeah, and that ties back to the whole quantity over quality thing.
Totally. And then, of course, there's the big question of beauty. The article spends a lot of time on this, contrasting those super detailed older buildings.
Like with all the carvings and ornamentation.
Yeah, with the, let's be honest, often pretty plain designs we see today.
Okay, but beauty is subjective, right?
Right.
What one person finds beautiful, another might find, I don't know, hideous.
Oh, for sure. But the article argues that there are like fundamental principles of beauty, things that appeal to us on a deeper level.
Interesting. So are they saying there's such a thing as objective beauty?
Kind of. And they go back to that dopamine thing, saying that if we're constantly surrounded by simple, unchallenging designs,
like it just becomes background noise?
Yeah, our brains might actually lose the ability to appreciate those more complex, nuanced forms of beauty.
Okay, so like if we're used to the visual equivalent of fast food, we might not be able to savor a gourmet meal.
Perfect analogy. And this made me think about those grand old libraries or train stations. Have you ever walked into one of those?
Oh, absolutely. I love those old spaces,
There's just something about them, right? It's like you can feel the history.
It's that they have a story to tell.
Exactly. And the article says that's what's missing from a lot of modern buildings. Character. They call it a lack of soul.
I think what we're talking about is the power of architecture to evoke emotion. Like a Gothic cathedral.
Oh yeah, those soaring ceilings.
Right, it makes you feel small.
It's almost spiritual.
Exactly. And a minimalist Zen garden might evoke a sense of peace and tranquility.
Right, so the question is, what do these modern spaces make us feel?
Are we just numb to them?
And if so, is that a problem? Which brings us to their final point, and it's pretty blunt. They say modern architecture just dulls life.
Wow. Okay, tell us how you really feel.
Right. But they argue that if our surroundings are bland and boring,
Like a sea of beige and concrete.
exactly, that it can actually make our lives feel bland and boring too.
That's an interesting thought. Like, our environment is actually shaping our inner experience.
Right. So we've thrown a lot out there, and I'd love to hear what you think. As you go about your day, take a look around, really pay attention to the buildings you see.
Yeah, and think about how they make you feel. You know, do they lift your spirits or drag you down? Do they inspire you or leave you feeling kind of empty?
Great questions. And I think the bigger question is, what can we do about it? Can we design spaces that are both functional and beautiful?
Yeah, can we bring back some of that artistry and soulfulness, you know?
Absolutely. All right, well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into architecture and society. Hope you found it thought-provoking, and maybe you'll look at buildings a little differently now.
Yeah, keep those eyes peeled. There's more to architecture than meets the eye, that's for sure.
Until next time.
See ya!